All right, and welcome. I think we should be good. I'm having a few bit of technical difficulties here. God, I'm still getting used to all this. Um, yeah, I think we're good. I'm sure you'll tell me if I'm not. Um, so yeah, this is, I guess, what I'm going to call Crunchcast. I thought it was my own little clever little twist on, I don't know, something different than I don't know, just calling it simply a podcast. Yeah, this is my first live, so I guess you'll see how this goes. I guess I'm calling it the pilot. I guess the pilot is always the most shoddiest and the most bare bones of anything until I get used to it. Still figuring stuff out. It's nice to see a few people in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate if I get my words out. You all coming. Cinnamon, yes. So yeah, let's not waste any time. See, we're blessed tonight. We're very blessed. One with royalty and knowledge. 'Cause it's good to have knowledge. I think on these streams, you need to have people with knowledge who are insightful. And I think the one thing that we can say, who is insightful, as I'm sure you all know from Rabbi's streams and everyone else's streams, he works a lot. He's a bloody good worker. I think where he grafts. I like a good grafter. The ever insightful P.D Rich.
Howdy ho, my
How are you
friend.
doing, mate?
How are we this evening? Well, that is a temporal anomaly, isn't it?
I'm testing the audio. Am I sounding good?
Yeah, you're sounding good. It's got about 1 second delay though, but hey.
No delay, anything like that?
Oh, not now. We just have to pretend you're Matt Pot or something and you're in Tasmania. Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
But not only have we got one guest, we have got two guests, and this guest is very special because, see, I'm British, yeah, as everyone, I think a lot of people here, and I'm very patriotic. And I suppose there's a little bit of news about the royal family that I guess we could talk about today. But we are blessed with royalty tonight, and it is the royalty herself, the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody. As long as it's one of the good royals, I'm competitive. That's good.
An intro.
Oh, trust me, I've been on with Dan. I trust me, I've had bad intros.
I'd be trying my best.
No, you did very good. Hello, everybody in the chat. It's lovely that we've got people in the chat already.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Thank you very much for PD for giving me the shout out. I guess word of mouth is always good with these kind of things, isn't it? I think, And I have to say, review it yourself. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to give me an answer, but if you are from Middlesbrough, which I do think you are, please do let me know, because I have a feeling you are. It would be nice to spread the crew. Who else have we got in the chat? So let's just quickly get to the chat. We have, who have we got here? We've got Darren M is here. Hello, Darren M. How are you doing, mate? Got Review It Yourself as well. We've got PD. We've got Gary. How are you doing, Gary? Right. So I guess let's just not really waste any time. We won't go on for too long, as I guess this is just a test, a sort of, I guess, a pilot, as I'm calling it. Just to get the grips of how things are going. See if I can bloody get used to any of this stuff. There's so many buttons here, banners, brand. I mean, literally. I've literally only done about 2 videos, so to actually do my first live, yeah, still getting used to it. Still going used to it. I've been on a football podcast to discuss the, but yeah, well, yeah. I mean, exactly. But we won't get too much bogged down in football here because I know these two guys aren't really that much into it. But yeah, actually, to start off, well, I didn't mean to start off grim, but obviously we have just got the news that Michael Jason has passed away. Of course, Michael Jason, who played the Valeyard, of course, in season 23 of Doctor Who. Yeah, I guess what are your initial thoughts about that? When did you find out? Just recently?
Yeah, pretty much. It was yesterday, I think. I mean, people still go talking about it today. But yeah, it's kind of sad, really. I mean, I like the Valeyard as a character because that was from I was Twilight Time Lord. It was an interesting character and an interesting concept. But the only problem is now is you can't really bring back the Valeyard without Michael Jason.
Yeah, I think the Valeyard, just as a concept, this idea of so many regenerations down the line, the Doctor's going to go bad, like the Doctor's going to go evil. I think it's such a clever concept, but it's such a hard concept then on screen to pull off, because you still got to buy this is like a warped version of the Doctor. And I think he's one of the highlights, honestly, of that trial season, because you get that same sort of intelligence, you get that same intensity of the Doctor, you get that sort of ego that we know the Doctor has. But like I said, it's all sort of flipped for evil means. And he portrayed that so well. And I've sort of been one of these, ever since I learned what the Valeyard was, I've sort of been really wanting New Who to do something with the character. I would be very nervous nowadays if they did it. But when New Who was a lot stronger, I really wanted them to do something with the Valeyard, whether that was to bring Michael back or do something with one of the modern actors. Because I think it's, so many of them I think could have pulled it off as well. I think Matt Smith could have done a brilliant Valeyard. I think Paul McGann, bring him back as a Valeyard. I've always had an idea about that.
Eccleston made a good Valeyard.
Yeah, or Capaldi. I just think so many of them
yeah.
could have really tapped into that. And it's a shame that I don't think we're going to get... Shooty, maybe. We don't know enough about him yet. But definitely, I'm more nervous writing if they were to do Valeyard now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think it kind of requires someone who can be dark, because right now I look at Shooty, and as much as I like
Absolutely.
him, and as much as I've liked his Doctor so far, nothing about his Doctor would scream to me like evil or really dark. He's a very upbeat kind of character so far. I guess the closest we got to it was, what, Tennant? In that Waters of Mars, the whole Time Lord Victorious. I guess that was a sort of, perhaps a reference, a little tease of what could have been. Because I know they kind of messed up the bloody regeneration thing now. The numbering
That's gone out the window
but
now.
I
The
suppose
whole
he was that final regeneration, wasn't he? There was supposed to be the 12th and final regeneration, or in between his 12th and final one. And
in between, from my memory
yeah,
from
I
Classic,
suppose
it's
he
in
was,
between.
wasn't he? And it's like, well, could we have seen a bit more with that?
Well, technically, I think ever since Matt at the end got a whole new cycle.
Like, and I think, because the regeneration, because when,
all right, dude.
I just think that particular bit where, because when he regenerates in Journey's End, that is technically classed as a regeneration.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess would we like to see more of it? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing more of it, but I suppose if you don't have Michael Jason, is it okay to recast that? Is it, I suppose Once Upon a Time was the master. Who would have thought that we'd recast Michael, Delgado?
Yeah, Robert Delgado. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a hard one now. I mean, the thing about it is they haven't explained this trans regeneration thing.
Oh, this bi rubbish.
Bi regeneration. Sorry, I'm getting all the LGBTQI things mixed up.
Well, that's the problem now. You can't logically match the canon of Classic now with Valeyard because of Matt got a whole new cycle, which meant they could have done it off Matt's cycle at some point, but then we had Chibnall's insertions with the Timeless Children, and now we've got bloody bi regeneration, which is completely messed regeneration up again. So you could basically do Valeyard technically any time now. Really, because the regeneration rules have just gone out the window.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I didn't like about the Last Christmas special. It's because they didn't tell you. They would just turn around and say that Time Lord gets a second set of regeneration. This sometimes happens randomly. That would have been brilliant. I said, yeah, okay, we'll go with that, But it's just like, oh, it's a legend or a myth. It's like, then why did it happen then?
Oh, but at least, like I said, with the Matt thing, it got set up quite nicely. I thought Moffat. It was like, oh, he's dying. He's the last. He's 13 technically, so he's dying in this body. And then the Time Lords literally appear and give them him. And it's like, if anybody could do that, it would be the Time Lords.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have to worry about the numbers for ages. That's why one of the many things I was frustrated with Chibnall and now with Russell It's like we didn't need regeneration resets. We had plenty left over from what Matt had, because it was a
Yeah.
whole new 13, was my understanding.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, they just really explained it. They explained it for Matt, but they didn't explain it for for Shooty and David again. It's like, it's just, what is this?
No, it was one line.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
line.
I think they've messed with it again, and it's the constant sort of meddling with it that I think is caused a problem because
Yeah.
it's when they say we've had the first regeneration cycle that lasted us 50 years. I think we were good for
Yes.
another 50, if you ask me. Like
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd need to worry about regeneration for a long time, to be honest. I think we're going to be
Yeah.
good for quite a while. And it's if you start messing around and start throwing the odd incarnation here, and oh, there's a secret one we never knew about. Oh, let's just throw one in here. Oh, let's just throw
Yeah.
in bioregeneration. It's something I keep going back to before, and I've mentioned this a few times. But it's like, do we really need all this Child of Destiny? These big extreme things that are happening. Oh, look, now this regeneration's all different. Like, can we not just go back to sort of having it more traditional, more, I guess, less higher stakes? Not in terms of less higher stakes in the episode, but it's just all these big, bombastic things that keep happening to just simple lore that perhaps different need to. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Russell himself had basically admitted he did it just because, well, he felt like he wanted to. Because what wouldn't it be cool if the current Doctor then met a future incarnation instead of meeting the previous self? Well, that's good in your fan fiction, but
Yeah.
was that a necessary change? Did you feel that was actually needed? And I suppose I'll ask you that, and you can talk about that now. But like, I didn't think it was. I think it was a gimmick done for a quick shock value, but that was it. Like, if you took that out of the episode, and like, basically what I mean is, if you had David just regenerate into Shooty normally, as traditionally as we've seen, and then had
Yeah.
him lead the episode for the final 10, 15 minutes, that could have worked. In fact, I think that probably
Yeah.
would have worked even better. Because
Yeah.
I really hate the fact that I don't know. I mean, they'd probably disagree, but I just don't quite like the fact that David is hanging around, to sort of doing his own thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like they kind of don't believe in Shooty, which I'm
That's it. Yeah.
sure they wouldn't say that, but it's like it's sort of like he's undermining him. Like he's like if he doesn't feel quite like the Doctor yet because you've still got the old one running around.
Yeah. I know, it's like you got David there, who's old man Doctor, like the mentor Doctor, and it doesn't really work. If you just regenerate like normal, and they've got David, you've got Doctor David on the parallel universe, like Metacrisis Doctor on a parallel universe as well. It's like, is it just going to be a universe full of David Tennants, as you showed me earlier?
Yeah, no, I was so annoyed for Shooty, really, because like you, I actually thought I think there's a possibility that we could have a really good lead again in the role.
Yeah.
I actually saw a bit of a shine in that, even in the first 10 minutes he was in the giggle. For me, it was like, no, he's got a bit of charisma, he's got a bit of like energy, which I quite like. He's quite charming. I was seeing traits that I was like, let's see how these develop because it's way too early yet. But I saw potential. I think that's what I'll say about Shooty right now. I think he's got real potential. And for him to have this weird regeneration introduction that he's basically, you could argue, a split. He's like this weird split from Tennant's Doctor now. He's not a normal, just like you said, we get the lights, we get the show, and then face, oh, new Doctor. He didn't get that. And yeah, Tennant is still knocking around in some capacity. They've even said in some commentary tracks, I think, that Tennant's Doctor's they're going to reference him in Shooty's first series. So we're going to learn a bit about what Tennant's Doctor's doing with the nobles, I think they said.
Yeah.
So no, what he really needed to do was to take the Moffat approach with Matt with Series 5. That if you think about how big of a shift it was when Tennant left, it was a real, like the king's dead, how are we going to get a successor almost. I remember the feeling in the fandom at the time. It was like, no, nobody will beat Tennant. No, they should just end the show now, or almost attitude. And Matt was this really young face that nobody really knew at the time. He was quite an unknown, like Shooty is now, I would argue. If you're not like a Netflix watcher, if you're not into his demographic, you don't really know him. So very similar, I'd say, sort of situations with both actors. And Matt, what did Moffat do? There was hardly any references to the past in Matt's first series. You had that lovely montage of the faces when he stepped through them, and he gave his run line, which was a lovely little nod. But then think about, was Tennant brought up again in that first series of Matt's? Not once.
No,
It
He wasn't
really, I
really
think,
mentioned at
showed.
all.
until the
Yeah.
50th.
And I think it really showed a confidence in Matt from Moffat. And I think Moffat knew I have to establish myself as well as a showrunner because I'm coming after Davies as well. Even though I'm well liked, I still have to show my credentials here. So it really showed a strong outing that Matt got in that first series. And I think Shooty should have had the same sort of approach with his Doctor, not this weird in between. And what also frustrated me was we could have had those two if Davies really wanted Shooty and Tennant in that final episode together. Just do a Tennant from a future bit of Ten's line to come, or do something like Shooty from the future comes to help Tennant. Because that actual interaction in the TARDIS between them right at the end, I actually really like that interaction when they're talking about the Doctor's damage. And basically Shooty's saying, we've never taken stock. Think about all the stuff we've gone through. We've been put on trial. We've been this, like he lists a load of the big events of the Doctor's life. And he even says like, and I love this line because I think it's really well delivered as well. Sarah Jane's gone. Just imagine that she's gone. So it's this idea of companions as well being gone now, and he's lost a lot of people he loves. So that was a lovely little Doctor and Doctor interaction, which we could have had any other way than this stupid bi-regeneration.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think he overthought it. Like, I agree with you. I think he wanted a gimmick. He wanted a shocking moment, and that's what he gave us, instead of actually what would make sense for the script and the lore.
You also got this issue now with
Exactly.
both
I
Shooty
think when you're going to do something as big as that,
yeah,
I was going to say, I think you need to, like Charlotte says, you can't, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just a little delay, mate. Yes, as I was saying, you've lost a bit of investment with Shooty and Millie now, because we know Millie's leaving at the end of the season, and Shooty's telling her, "I'm going back to theatre soon." So that's another issue that's coming up. And having David Tennant hanging around, it's like they've just got no faith in him. It's just weird, really weird.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing I did in my video just previously, and I think I talked about that very question, like a few things. Like, do you think if we had, because obviously the initial plan was to have series 1 air in around January, I think. So by now we'd probably be halfway through, nearly probably done. Maybe we'd probably have about 3 episodes left, but we'd be halfway probably through series 1 by now. And it's like, if the news had came out now instead of beforehand, what would the mood be different? Like, how would we perceive that as a fandom? Would that change things? Would that feel better? Because it's like, and I thought, well, because now that we do know, and it's like when May comes around, when we watch that, all we're going to think is, well, you're not going to be here for very long. And it's like, well, is there any worth getting invested? And this is the question I thought was like, well, and people will say, yeah, but Martha, yeah, but Donna, yeah, but Bill. And the question I raised was, yes, but how long after they were announced did we find out they were leaving? So when Freema Agyeman was cast, when did we find out she was leaving? Was it before her season aired? I'm not sure. I was a bit before my time. I was a bit too young at the time to know. But these are the questions that I think are important. Because yes, we've had one season companions before, but I think it's important to realize the distinction of when it was said that they would join, when it was said they would leave, because I'm sorry, but when you've promoted this era so much, I mean, they've thrown Shooty and Millie in everything. They've really hyped it up. And then for it to be like over just like that, I kind of, I guess your thoughts on it, but I just feel like if they had announced it, if the show did come out in January, like it perhaps originally planned, and then we got it afterwards, I think that possibly would have helped, because now I feel like it's a dark cloud hanging over the series now. What do you think?
Yeah, totally,
Hmm.
totally, completely with you, my friend. It's just the way they just did it. It's like, I mean, with Fremont, going back to Fremont, I think it was kind of at the Christmas special. I think they turned around and said just before the Christmas special, they said she was leaving, but she'll be making appearances in Torchwood. So we had something. We were going to see her again. It wasn't the last time we were going to see Martha Jones. There's a lot of controversy behind the scenes about that one as well, because she went and worked for ITV, and apparently she had an exclusive contract with BBC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was this huge controversy. I remember writing about it at college. And there was a controversy with Freema Ajima because she was an exclusivity deal with BBC, but she wanted to go and work for ITV Drama as well, and there was this massive hoo-ha about it. I don't know how it's true or not, or it was just media spin or speculation.
It could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. I remember writing about it for an essay.
Well, there's another side to this, and I think it's the same idea you've been getting at Cinnamon in your video and what you just said then. Also, Martha, Bill, Donna, they had 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Modern Who used to have 13 episodes back when Russell was running it,
Exactly.
back when Moffat was running it. You compare that to 8 in your main series. I know the Christmas special would technically be 9, but I'm talking main series here. 8 is not a lot of space at all, because you've got to. It's not just Millie you've got to do. You've got a brand new doctor, which we've got to learn about. We've got to develop. We've got to see his personality, his sort of tricks and his little ticks and all that fun stuff we like about a doctor when they first do their series. That should be a massive part of your writing. Then you've got to develop the doctor companion relationship. So that's 2 of them working together. That's got to get written. You've got new enemies. You've got so many other things on your plate to do. And you've got a companion that's having basically a 1-series story arc. And I think Russell, possibly here, has once again given himself way too much to do in too short a time. That was a massive feeling I had with the 60th specials. That I think originally, I've not been told this is just my sort of theory here. I think originally he planned to do more than 3. I feel like some of those story ideas we got felt like they originally were going to be more in other specials or more developed across more time. And he had to scale it back because the Toymaker was so. Think about how much promotion we got for Toymaker. He was in 1 episode, 1 special. He wasn't in any of the other specials. The whole Donna, how we're going to fix her memory issue was sorted in a blink. It was just, oh, I'm a woman now, I can just let it go, was the rubbish he came out with. So there was, even Mel, she was just appeared. There was no real sort of time with Mel and the doctor. They got 1 scene together, that was it. So many things just felt that they were sort of rushed into the plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I felt it shrunk down.
Yeah, it felt like shortcuts and things were
Yeah.
just done in the shortest way because he had to get onto the next scene. And I don't want that for a series now. I think it was bad enough when it's specials, but I suppose you could argue specials have a bit of that naturally anyway because you're not doing a series, but now you've got a series. And I don't want to feel shortchanged. I think basically I'm saying at the end of it for anything of Millie, because I think as a companion, she should get enough time as she needs to develop.
Yeah.
And I'm worried now she's not going to get that. Basically, with this news that she's leaving after series 1.
I mean, I suppose when we think, just think back to when we got Mel in the classic series. I mean, she wasn't even there for that long if you count the stories, and you saw how much development she got. Now, I trust obviously Russell to have more writing chops and to be able to do more with her. But I mean, it's like you say. I mean, we've got eight episodes of the season. I mean, I suppose they'll say if you factor in everything, if you factor in the Christmas special, and then the 8 seasons, and then the next Christmas special, and I think maybe the 3 episodes of the next season, And I guess maybe that would add up to a regular season count, but it's so spread across. It's so spread across
16 and 3
really far.
specials, my friend.
It's like, oh, you got to wait 2 whole. Yeah, like it's like at least with Martha, it was over 13 consecutive weeks.
Exactly.
You knew what you were getting, all nice and neat in one package. Spreading it across a season or a half, or a Christmas here, a Christmas there. It all strikes me as weird. Nothing feels natural about it. Nothing feels normal, and I hate the fact that they've done this because I think they're being clever by ignoring it, by sweeping
Oh yeah,
it under the
they
carpet.
definitely think they're being clever at the moment.
And I just think, well, the cat's out the bag. The cat's out the bag,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's fair on either Millie or really on Varada Sethu. I don't think it's because, like I said before, and I
Yeah.
think I was saying it on maybe Brendan's channel. Like I was saying, like she should be everywhere now. They should be, like I was saying earlier. If we had that season in January, and like then the news came out, like maybe they'd be promoting it. Possibly. I mean, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. We don't know. Obviously, it's a hypothetical question. But it's like if it had aired, and we had like 2 episodes to go by this point, maybe now they could have announced it, tweeted about it, and they could have written about it in the Doctor Who magazine for the 600 issue. Not a peep, not a murmur from it. And it's like she could have ever had a big tweet, similar to how they announced Yasmin in the 60th. They put out a tweet saying Yasmin Finney, Heartstopper, is going to appear in the 60th anniversary. And they could have did that, and maybe they could have wrote about it in the Gallifrey Guardian segment of the magazine. A little bit something like that. They could have they could have really promoted it, and I'm sure they still can. But it's when they do, it'll just feel like old news. It's like, well, yeah, we knew like 6 months ago. We knew a year ago. Why are you just telling us now? Like, she hasn't. It's not fair on her because it's like we know she's there now. Like, we should be getting an announcement, but we're not because they obviously clearly don't think that is the right way to go forward.
I just find it odd. Like, you could argue, okay, when it was just the Mirror saying we've got this report, we've got a source telling us, then okay, it's sort of, PD can probably talk more about this. It's more common practice. You don't respond to that in the industry.
Yeah.
You sort of keep stum. But as soon as we got literally filming footage of the new companion we're shooting, it's like, no, we've literally got filming now. It's definitively proof that the Mirror was spot on with their report and their source. And it's also more, which then makes you think, even if you don't want to do a full blown, like you said, like big old story, just put something out confirming Millie is going to be leaving.
Yeah.
At some point, and you can even word it a bit vague, like not to say it's that after one series, just say Millie Gibson will have, after so many appearances, will be leaving the role and welcome our new companion sort of statement. But we've not even had that. So like you said, it's this, and the problem is now, the Mirror report was heavily hinted that this isn't off Millie's own back, that she's been forced out. That's what I got from the Mirror report. And now we know that they were right. Makes you think, were they right about that part of it? And is that why we haven't had a confirmation? Has she been forced out? Which is not the conversations you want about your show, basically, in the fandom. It doesn't help it in the slightest.
Yeah. So I'm just going through Martha's appearances, but technically she's in 19
especially when
times.
you're talking up this new era with the new companion and the new Doctor.
Yeah. So I was saying, it was 19 appearances she made, so she wasn't just in one season. She made like 5 or 6 appearances elsewhere as well. That's not including Torchwood or Sarah Jane if she was in Sarah Jane. So she appeared loads of times.
But her core story was in
Martha.
that series.
Yeah. She was all over. She was all over Doctor Who. She had a couple of episodes in Torchwood as well, I think.
Oh yeah, she came. When I watched those episodes, because it was like, oh, Martha's back.
I just don't think it's great when you've got to.
Yeah. You're right, buddy. Lost for words.
Yeah, I'm just testing the delay, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you
I think we're
mean.
having a few problems, but I guess we'll get through it anyway. We'll muddle through. This is just
Muddle
a test
through,
stream.
yeah.
Is we're getting used to things, but yeah, to get back on point. Yeah, about the Millie thing. I just think, like I was saying earlier, with how much they promoted it, with they really. I thought I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't expect it to be around forever, but this is supposed to be a sort of reset, a rebrand. Even the BBC knows that. They're trying to make it bigger and better than ever. They'll say the Jodie era was the most successful and
Yeah.
so stunning and brave and amazing. But then, clearly not if they think they need to make it bigger, get people talking about it, because nobody was talking about it. I mean, still people aren't really talking about it, but they've got Disney on board. They've tried to,
Yeah.
get a new audience. Whether that's good or bad, it remains to be seen. A lot of people would say bad, but it just screams weird. I just can't put my finger on it. It's just nothing about it. Like, again, was this always the plan? I mean, I'm not sure it was. I mean, again, I was watching Rabbi's stream, and it was about
Yeah.
was she pushed or did she jump? I think that is really what it boils down to. Did she jump or was she pushed? And if she was pushed, why? And if she did jump, also why? And again,
Yeah.
if she wants to go back to Coronation Street, is that? I mean, is that the career move she wants? Because we know that she's been speaking to Karen Gillan, because that was her companion, or that was the companion she was watching when she was growing up. Because she's roughly similar age to me, and I think she wants to advance in her career, as I think as many would do. You want to get to the next level. You want to go higher. You want to do something a bit better. So I can't imagine you'd want to leave. The whole point was she left that steady job in Coronation Street. That was a steady job. She wanted to branch out. She wanted to do something a little bit bigger. She wanted to take a risk. She took that risk, and I think that risk has paid off in Doctor Who. Again, we haven't seen much of her yet. We've only seen the first episode. But, this is a big risk. And it's like, wow, she's gone already. Again, was this always the plan? There's something gone wrong. And if she does go back to Coronation Street, like I've seen a few murmurs about, that doesn't really seem like, well, going forward, is it? That seems like taking a step forward and taking 2 steps back, from my view.
Yeah, because especially in the UK, you can get trapped in soaps. You can get actors that never really do other roles. And in her age, surely she doesn't want to become that, you would think.
Yeah. Same with radio as well. If you go back to radio from TV, you'll get trapped. There's a risk of
Exactly.
getting
I mean, I
trapped in
watch
radio.
EastEnders, and you see some of the characters on there, and everyone just looks at characters like Phil Mitchell, and everyone knows him as the guy that's on EastEnders. If you saw him in anything else, Ian Beale, anybody like that, you think, oh yeah, it's him off thingy. It's, I suppose when you're her age and you're young and you're ambitious. Again, I just find it all strange. You want to advance, you want to get to the next stage, and again, after how much they promoted and talked up this new era, it's the bestest ever. It's so Shooty's so electrifying. Oh, he's so amazing. Oh, he blew us away in that first audition. Okay, but like, what didn't Millie? Isn't it supposed to be the new best partnership? What? No, are we getting another one? Is it over so soon? It just doesn't strike me as natural, and that's the problem, because I was a little bit older by the time we got Bill, and that felt more natural, and it just seems, again, I keep repeating myself, but it just seems very strange to me.
Oh, it definitely is strange. There's no denying that. The whole, like you said, no confirmation of it, the way it was let out, because we've still got quite a few months. Is it March we're meant to get the series now? It's still quite a bit of time for speculation and talk.
Yeah, you thought they would just cut it in half, didn't you? Cut the series in half, just give 4 episodes straight after the New Year's Day and onwards for January, and then just give us the rest of them in April, May time. It's
And the other thing is, like, if there's one thing I've seen agreement about that's Christmas special, I've seen varying opinions on a lot of it. But the one thing I have seen that seems to be the constant is, Millie and Shooty seem to have good chemistry. Like, lots of people have said that. So why mess around with that if it seems to be working so far? is my question as well.
Yeah,
Because it's a
good point.
gamble whether you're going to get chemistry good a second time. It's a massive gamble.
True, very true. Charlotte.
Exactly. And if it did work, then why would they change that? You know, because if you've got something that's working and you've got this great new TARDIS team, I think that I try not to compare too much because it was a different era, different show. But when we had Amy and the 11th Doctor, we had that TARDIS team. Okay, you had Rory in there too for a lot of it as well, but you know, it was Amy and the Doctor. We had that for about 2.5 seasons, series 6 to 5 episodes in series 7. So that's quite a good while. I'm not saying we have to have it for that long. You know, because those were 13 episodes as well. But you could have had a Christmas special, then the 8 episodes of series 1, another Christmas special, and the 8 episodes of the second season. And that probably would have been all right. I think that would have been, and then you get if she leaves 3 seasons, then you could have had him with 2 companions, one companion for 2 seasons, and then the other companion for the final one. And then if they want to stay on for the next Doctor, for example, or if she was to do 4 seasons, it was that 3 season trend has come kind of tradition recently. I'm trying to think of it again. Is this Russell just trying to be completely different for the sake of being different? Which I wouldn't put it past him. We've seen instances of that. But it's like, I can't imagine if you've got this great new TARDIS team, then why would you change that? If you're Russell, would you actually actively choose to get rid of a companion? It's actually his choice to get rid of that companion and bring in a new one to just for the sake of changing it to change it. I mean, he won't say it for the sake of it, but I just think, my God, 5 minutes ago we had Geordie. It's like it feels like we've gone through a lot of change.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Totally know what you mean on this one. Completely know. It's like, yeah, this is why I've got a bit of skepticism about the brand new series, because the way Russell's kind of handling it, it's like it's his plaything. I just get a really bad feeling about where it's going. I think that's why I've kind of walked away. Oh, we lost Cinnamon. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, I think Russell did a lot of needlessly stupid antagonizing before even the specials went on air. We had the whole incident with Children in Need.
Yeah.
That changing of classic character there, which really never needed to get touched, especially once we found out the reason behind that change, which was just bone idol virtue signaling, which was actually more damaging once you thought about it. Then you had the stuff in the Star Beast. You had really on the nose dialogue. You had, I would argue, he did a disservice to Rose as a character.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get to know her. There was like you could have done actually stuff with that whole business idea she did with the toys. I was like, that's a cute idea. Actually, run with that. Nothing. We just got her to be literally as a Deo ex machina right at the end of the story when you needed her. So that, and then you had that dialogue about, oh, it's a shame you're not a woman anymore. Sort of needlessly bashing Tennant when he's just come back in the role again.
Yeah.
That's set wrong with a lot of fans, I know, that whole scene. And then you had the stupid Isaac Newton thing at the beginning of Wild Blue Yonder, which is not needed at all, especially because it related nothing really to the plot of that story. It didn't give you anything for the actual plot with the space station. It was just this stupid, it felt like skit that they just put the front of the episode. Tonally, it was off as well. It was all funny. When that you can tell they were trying to do more scares with that second special.
So generic, wasn't it? Really?
It really just felt like Whiplash, that whole scene.
Yeah.
And then the giggle, which I still think is one of the best out of the 3 for me. But that's because there was major issues more, I think, about it with the other 2. And Neil Patrick Harris was just really good on screen as the toy maker. Yeah. Really good casting. Really just lovely to have a villain that's just bonkers, that isn't the Master. I'll be very blunt about it. I'm fed up with the Master being the crazy one. I'm up for the toy maker because to me that tracks more with the character. And then you've got his demeanor on social media, which has just needlessly been attacking and having a go at fans. So he's done so much sort of damage, I would argue already, with the fans and goodwill, that he needs to just really be trying to win that back. And the whole Millie situation is just more fuel, I would argue, right now to the fire.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I'll give it that. Giggle was very good. It looked like a very good episode from what
You seem.
bits I saw of it.
Yeah, I'm back now. I don't know what's going on with my internet.
There you go.
Seems
You're back
to
in the
be
room.
Really struggling, but yeah, I'm back in the room. Of course, the internet plays up when I'm about to stream. I
Always
don't know
the
if
first
it's
time
just
out.
actually my laptop is struggling to handle a stream.
Might be your Wi-Fi.
But
It's always
yeah,
your Wi-Fi.
it seems like they're addicted. Seems like they're addicted to me, to the danger of. Again, it's like they want to shoot themselves in the foot constantly at every single turn. It's like they're obsessed with the danger. You know, we had they'll do something really great and then they'll do something really bad. Like I was actually for a good while, I was a bit deflated. Like this is a good couple of weeks before the 60th anniversary even came out, and I was just left thinking. I don't know. I wasn't quite as excited. I was really excited for a while, and I guess maybe just the waiting, got to me. And then I got excited again because then they started getting a bit more active. It was during the summer because they were really quiet during the summer, and then a little bit towards autumn we started to get a bit more. And then they put them all on BBC iPlayer, all the episodes, and I thought, wow, that's actually a really good decision. I really like that. And they did a few good things, and then again whatever good thing they do, they'll do another bad thing that will equally just undo all the good work they have been doing. It's again
exactly.
like the whole the Davros situation, Davros Gate. Again, was that needed? How unnecessary was all that? Did you have to send shockwaves through fandom, which you did? And it's like you had that. What was that? That came out. That children
That
thing
was
came
like,
out
look,
a couple,
I want to
not that
say
long
that
before the Star Beast.
I want to say that was literally like the week before, or like not that short at all from Star Beast
Literally
being
a week before, and it was like that was again bad news going into it. So like before the first special even came out, we'd already had a bad vibe around the place. It's like having a bad smell. It was just like it didn't need it. We could have went into this with an open mind. We really generally going into this with a good mindset of seeing what is this like. You know, we're past the Jodie era now. What is it going to be like? Oh no, you just threw us a brick to my face, and it's like we've got to deal with that now. Okay, well, the Star Beast as an alright story, it was okay, bit preachy. Okay, and then you'll throw us another brick, and then you'll throw us another brick, and it's like, okay, mate, this is getting a bit much now. And it's like we can't have a good thing. They will never let us have a good thing.
Yeah, that's my thing now with the writing. I agree with you completely. You can have a really good scene, or you can have a really good story beat. Like, for example, in the Giggle, I love that scene when he was doing the puppet show.
Oh yeah,
and the doctor was watching with
then.
Donna, because for me that actually showed skillful writing again.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of that scene was the toy maker showing Donna, but the doctor as well. But I think he was honestly trying to get Donna's back up as well. He was basically to me saying, "Here you go, Doctor. All your companions are collateral damage, and you that as he said, that's all right." And it's basically him saying, "Doctor, you're okaying all these people being sort of left in these horrible states just because you need them to travel with you." It's not that selfishness, which we've all commented the Doctor has.
Yeah.
But he needs somebody to be with him. But when he's a Time Lord, he's the safer one. He's always going to be safer. Whereas humans are fragile, so they can get hurt. And that's what he was doing in that scene. And Tennant's face, you could just see he was sort of he tried to reason, go, but no, Clara's okay because of this, or Rosie's okay because of that. So he was trying to argue back, but you could see in the acting he didn't believe it, his own arguments, because he was agreeing almost with the toy maker. So you had that scene, and then you had absolute tripe. Like there's nobody like, or the scene with Donna when she was by herself in the toy maker's round with the little babies. When it was the the female puppet, and like the mummy. So I can't remember her name. Like the wife puppet to the one who got
Sue.
that one.
That's Suki Bill, yeah, Suki Bill.
That whole scene when they were like, it was talking and it was quite creepy, and then the babies came and it was proper like horror, almost Doctor Who for a minute. Brilliant. And then you had that now I have no hope for Kate going forward, honestly. Now Kate, that literally, you've got the toy maker appearing, he's made Spice Girls play out of nowhere, he's made a door appear out of nowhere, he's made your men turn into bouncy balls, and what does she tell them to do? Just keep shooting him with normal bullets when the doctor's telling you to stop as well. Like, Kate, you should know better. You're Kate Stewart at it. It's just like, do you know what I mean? You get such inconsistent writing at the moment.
Yeah. So there's gaps, bits that are missing. It's just a complete muddle. It's just almost like Russell Davis's toy box at the moment. This is why I've kind of I had to distance myself, because that just annoys me, I'm afraid.
I suppose with Kate is I actually don't mind Kate as a character. I suppose she's nothing on the brig, obviously.
No,
It's like you said there. I hadn't even thought of that. And it's like you said, like she just kept ordering the soldiers to shoot him, and it's like, now that I think of it, like I thought I liked her, and I think I still do. But now looking back, it's like, have they actually done anything with her?
They
Like,
haven't in ages.
Now that I think of it, actually, she seems quite bland of emotion. Like she's
Oh,
just the
God,
same
yes.
every episode she seems to appear in. And I thought, I haven't really thought of that before. And it's like she's just the same. And it's like I don't know. It's like,
But it was
if her name wasn't the Brigadier, if she wasn't the daughter of the Brigadier, would she even be interesting? Like, I thought I liked her, and I still kind of do. I don't hate her, but I just, now actually sitting here and actually questioning it and actually looking at it, is she a bland character?
Well, you had that other scene as well. This is what I just writing is my issue at the moment with it. Like, they had that point where they were showing off what the toy maker was doing to the population. He was like, there was no filter, everybody was doing what they wanted, sort of thing. And she took off the band that she was wearing, and she started like being very blunt and saying what she thought. And she's made a couple comments about the scientist lady, I forgot her name, the unit scientist who was new, that we got introduced to in the specials. And she said something like, "Oh, I've seen you walk, so you're lying," and that sort of stuff. And then, but like I said, so she said all that.
Oh, her.
And then but do you remember the scene when Kate's just spewing off, like I said, exactly, like there's no filter, she's saying what she thinks almost.
Yeah.
And she talks about, "Oh, I've seen you walk," so I can't remember the exact lines, but, "Oh, you're a fraud, I've seen you walk, why are you lying," something like that. And then she puts it back on and she's apologising. And it's like, love, you knew exactly what was going to happen when you took that off your arm.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what you were going to, roughly what you were going to say. So why are you looking shocked and apologising and being all, "Oh, I'm so sorry"? It's like, you knew.
Yeah.
You were showing off to the doctor exactly what the issue was.
Yeah. It's like she's literally been turned into a procedural idiot over the past kind of few seasons, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Total procedural idiot. You know what I mean?
And how much alien invasions has that character been through now? How many stuff would she know of her dad?
5 or 6 now.
So it's just like,
yeah.
Russell, you're writing her like an idiot.
How many appearances she actually had? Like, she was in, what was she? Yeah, I mean, she was in Power 3, wasn't she? And then, did she come? She came? Was that it? She's in Power 3, and then did she come back for Dark War or Death in Heaven? And then since then, she's had sparing appearances. Yeah, like she's been in enough. Like, she actually has. It's quite weird, actually. You forget how long she's actually been in the show. Like, was it 2012? Like, she's been here since Matt's era. And it's
she got introduced in Matt's era.
Like, She hasn't changed much.
I'm trying to remember where she got introduced, or I'm going through the.
I want to say Power of Three. I think Cinnamon's right.
Yeah. I think she just came in and might come in during that.
I think it was definitely Power.
Yeah, because we didn't have her in the David Tennant's era.
It just seems to me like she's just been the same since the beginning. Like
the problem is, like, I agree. I think to begin with, she had a good story, which was she was like, "Hello, I know about my dad. I'm not my dad. Basically, I'm more scientific mind. I'm not as militaristic as the brig. I think she even has a line in the Power of Three when she's like, "Oh, I've made unit more scientific again." Like she's tried to sort of not lose the military edge, but sort of remind unit it does have that scientific history as well with the Doctor, and she sort of brought it up back to that image. And then, like I said, you had that whole unpacking of what it would be like to have that heritage of the brig. And then I feel like the last couple of outings for the character has just become she's just there to tell the threat. She's there to explain what the aliens are doing, sort of thing. She's just become, I need a bit of exposition almost, which is sad. Because any character that's sad, but especially one related to the brig.
Yeah.
Considering how much we saw the brig develop in Classic. We saw his relationship with the Doctor develop. And Nicholas Courtney always seemed to just have a twinkle sort of in his eye, whatever scene he was in. I find the brig just so much more of an interesting character than Kate, sadly. And it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't be like that.
And even he had his moment as well. Like when you think of the brig, like he'd be very professional, but then like the Doctor would say something, and it would completely go past, the brigadier's head. He wouldn't understand one iota of it, and he just had this like. There's a lot of I don't know exactly how you say it, but there's so many instances where something will happen, and then the look on the brig's face just for a quick shot, and it's like, right, and that makes it all quite clear. Like he just like he doesn't understand it, but and it's like again, he's not being very emotive, but like his lack of emotion is the emotion. Like is the fact that he isn't reacting as much. Says 1,000 things.
What I loved about the brig was you had that sort of. I'm trying to think of my wording now. Like of the day, he was establishment, wasn't he? Attitude, sort of very uptight, sort of like you said. On the surface, he didn't show a lot of emotion, but like you said, he gave looks and he had a bit of like a sarcastic tone now and again to his voice. That you could tell instantly like he wasn't happy, or he was annoyed with the Doctor, or he was annoyed with Yates. Do you know? There was stuff around him that he was almost trying to be the straight man in a mix of
something small, like the Doctor saying something, and Benton will smile, or it'll be some snarky little comment, and he'll shout, and the Brigadier will shout like, "Oh, I read Benton, he just stood there grinning like a Cheshire cat." And it's just those little moments that like can make a person. Again, Brigadier, was he the most developed character? I mean, I suppose he was developed. He could have conflict with the Doctor, or they disagree on some things. But like, was he developed as most like New Who companions? No. Again, it was fairly run of the mill, but it was a very well written character. He was a very actual person. Like I often describe Amy more as a character than a person. Like Donna felt like a real person to me. There were so many instances with Amy. I do like Amy as a companion. I suppose it's comparing companions, but it's like when you think back to that scene when they were in the Ood slave camp, in the Planet of the Ood, and you had the whole thing about the Ood song, and then like you see Donna like physically crying at the thought of seeing all these creatures in such poor conditions, and I can't remember where I heard it, or I can't remember exactly what the line was, and it was in and of course, typically, as you would imagine, it was a Chibnall
era, That's when he appeared with
Doctor
Chibnall, I
says
think. Yeah.
something along the lines of, it's something about the world ending, and he the way he says it, yeah, the way he says it, and it's like Amy's reaction to that, it was sort of like flippant, like almost as if she didn't care, and it's again, it's probably one of the few writing, issues with Moffat. It's like I feel like some characters can come off more as a character than an actual real person, but just like and it's like, was Brigadier okay? Was he the most developed character? He was all right. Again, that sort of military hard background, that stiff upper lip, like Darren M is saying there. A man of
Yeah.
action. A man of man who took his job seriously. But like the difference between him and his daughter, they're both trying to do the sort of same thing, but it's like, and I don't even think it's nostalgia either, because I look at me, I'm a younger fan. I'm 21. I
Same
was not
here.
around when the Brigadier
Yeah.
was around. Do you know what I mean? And the same with you, Charlotte. I think you were also introduced with the revival show, and it's like it's definitely not nostalgia talking. Like I can look at the Brig and I see how that family unit worked, and you see how I guess how there's again those little moments where his personality does shine through, even when he's not saying much. His face says 1,000 things. That little
Yeah,
that little side look, that little glint of just,
one of my favourite moments, and I can't remember exact line, but it's when in the Three Doctors, when Unit first transports to Omega's dimension, and like Brig at first, you can tell he doesn't realise that, and then he just walks outside, and he just has this, and he just looks around, and then he goes back. And then there's no dialogue, like you said. That's what was brilliant about Courtney. You didn't need dialogue.
Oh no, you don't his voice.
And you could just see that moment of him, and then he just has an utter like, oh, here we go again. Like, what's the Doctor done this time? Look, and it's brilliant because he's like, anybody else would be panicking. Look, I'm in this weird dimension, and the Brig just looks like, okay, it's Tuesday. What's the Doctor done now?
Yeah.
Sort of look about him. It's brilliant.
Yeah, because
and
I've got
he
to
has that
remember.
look nearly throughout his era.
Yeah, you got to remember with Kate Lethbridge Stewart though, she's a character from a spin-off Downtime, played by someone different, but that's where the character come from. It was played by Beverly Cressman in the original in Downtime. It's a Doctor Who spin-off, straight to video movie, put to VHS during the what do you call it, the Wilderness years. And that's where the character comes from, but they've carried her on into the series with a different actor playing them.
I've always said this. I think the way to fix Kate is to give her a second. Give her a counterpart that is not Osgood, because Osgood wasn't a real counterpart. She was just this weird fan insert character Moffat invented. But give her a proper second who can argue with her, who can say, no, that isn't the right call, or no, I think we should do it this way. And then you could have actually her having to sort of prove herself in a good way, argue her points in a good way. And then you could have that fun thing of like the Brig and the Doctor again, that you had two very different backgrounds having to work together, two very different outlooks having to work together. And I think that they should have done that ages ago with the Kate character. Give us somebody as a bouncing, like I said, a second, or just somebody else in unit who can be just as much of a level as her, who can be that difference. And then, but the problem is she's never had anybody who can challenge her in New Who when it comes to unit setup.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to bring back Winifred Brambera, played by Angela Bruce again, just a couple of times, just to put her in her place, kind of thing, and have the arguments. The military versus a scientific core kind of argument that you kind of got in like series like Stargate Atlantis and stuff. Just to give it that little bit of friction, but friendly friction in it, make it look like kids.
Yeah, definitely friendly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. A bit of friendly sort of back and forward.
That's it. But I mean, she hasn't been back as Bambera, and Bambera was supposed to be the Briggs replacement. just been weird like that. It's just, they've got so many courses they could take and they just never took them. I think that's why I didn't like that. Really, I was a bit upset when it came back in 2005 to 10. So many things they could have done, they just never did it, So many roads not taken, if you know what I mean, Charlotte and Cinnamon.
Yeah. And I don't think you do it by now giving her a spin-off. That's not the way to fix the character.
No. Since they've got so many options, but Russell just doesn't seem to use them, if you know what I mean. It's like,
Yeah, I think like the whole make it a spin-off, have a unit spin-off. It's kind of was it easy? Like it's the most like generic thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's the most obvious answer to me.
Yeah.
And it's like if we got one, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Obviously, I would go in it
You know
again
where that
with
comes
an open
from, don't you,
mind,
Cinnamon?
watch it happily.
You know where it comes from,
What?
mate? It comes from the late 70s. They were going to do a unit spin-off back then, but it all fell apart, and they did K9 Company instead.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. It just wants to keep.
Yeah,
just
and
bring
a
back all
part of
the-
me wishes they did that because
Yeah.
could we imagine? Because obviously throughout the 70s, especially when we got to Tom Baker, and obviously the unit stories fell drastically. I think we got them in Robot. That was his first story, and even then that was more of a pertwee story to help ease the transition. What was the next one after that? Terror of the Zygons. And I think
Yeah.
after that it was not Android to Tower. It was the Android Invasion. Sorry. And I think that was it for a good long while. I don't.
Yeah.
Benton wasn't even in the Android Invasion, was he? Or was he?
No. Yeah, he
might have
was.
been.
Brig wasn't in it.
Yeah. So throughout the Tom Baker era, unit stories were very scarce. And
That's because Hinchliffe, Gray, and
I just
Williams
think
didn't want them.
if they had done the spin-off, then I think it could have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I suppose it makes sense. And we're never going to be around forever because you don't want to tie the Doctor down. Because it was the whole
That's
thing
it.
about that kind of era with the Third Doctor. That was his kind of story arc with him being stuck on Earth.
Yeah.
So to have that continue over the next Doctor, I feel would be a very bad decision. But it's like if you could contrast it, could you imagine? Because a lot of people loved Unit. It was a very massive part of that era, the Third Doctor era, and unfortunately, it did go away throughout the Baker era. So the demand, I'd imagine, would have been there. But contrast that to now, and it's like, well, is there really an appetite for that now? With completely new characters, but the Vlinks, is that got audience attention? The Vlinks, and it's set up there. I mean, it could do it. They've got this. They've got the big tower. They've got the big Avengers tower. They've got Bonnie Langford back. So
I was going to say
the better part of it. They've got Donna there now.
It's been set up that if you've been any sort of companion to a doctor, Kate's going to offer you a job. Like, no questions asked. You just get a job.
Yeah. Oh, let's just give Donna Noble a job because she can, sort accounting out.
She can
sort
type.
Files out. You
can just see it. You can just see it like 2 years' time. She's on the bottom floor.
Type. Let's just hire her for the biggest military organization, the most secret organization in the country, in the Geneva Convention. Let's just give Donna Noble a job. Oh gosh. Yeah. But I mean, we're getting spin-offs. I just think, with the spin-offs, I'm of the opinion that a lot of people have said, about, wait until the main show is back on its feet because it's not in a good place. Even though I've liked what we've gotten so far, I can say objectively that it's not, because it's the thing is that just because you might like something, that is completely fine. But if you like it, what if I was to say, I don't know, so a movie. There was a movie that like everybody hated, like everywhere. Reviews hated it. Everybody online hated it. There was a certain movie out there everyone hated. And let's say I liked it. I can just sort of say, well, I liked it, and then there you go. I haven't got to then go around out my way to then convince everyone else to like it. It's it's like as if you're all wrong, and it's like I think I've lost my point now, but I just think with this era,
I know what you mean.
Even though I like it, there we go. I think I'm getting back on track now. But with this era, even though I like it, I can still say that genuinely, objectively, it's not in the best place still. No matter how much they try and claim it is. And I think to already start throwing out spin-offs, I mean, I think they're filming in March, apparently, according to whatever that leaked letter or whatever that thing was. I just think, again, I'll watch it obviously, but it is now the right time.
Yeah, totally. Going back to what you were saying about, we felt that way about Star Trek 2009. It was a guilty pleasure. And Into Darkness just was terrible, but I wasn't going to go promote Into Darkness because it was awful.
But that was like the peak of when Benedict Cumberbatch was just being put into everything.
Oh yeah.
But I like him. He's a brilliant actor, but God, he got overexposed during that time.
I'll tell you, he was no Khan Noonien Singh. Yeah. Oh, it was just that kind of era, wasn't it? It was just a popcorn, turning from Star Trek to popcorn Trek. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't like Into Darkness. I mean, I like the franchise, but I just thought the second film was bland as heck.
I think there was some really good, and this is somebody who's not a Star Trek fan in the slightest. Like, I knew, because it's just pop culture, you know about Star Trek now, even if you've never watched it. But I liked a lot of the cast in those movies.
Yeah, to watch it.
But
I've sent you the box set, haven't I? Oh. Go get the Kelvin Timeline box set and set it down to him. Quick, watch it.
But yeah, like, he had a good cast in those movies. But
I've got them. I'm literally looking at them now. I've got Voyager, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, the original series, a few of the movies. I think the first 10 movies.
Yeah. You watched any of this yet? Oh.
But you got Picard, PD, so you got something.
Oh, I got season 3 of Picard. I got the steelbook of that one. I paid for the expensive one. Oh, gone again. Okay, yeah, I paid for the expensive steelbook one because I watched it on the hookie when it first came out, and I thought I'd give you Paramount a bit of money back and I'll get the expensive version. I'm glad I did. It's a lovely box.
Yeah,
and it still makes me cry, Charlotte. It still makes me cry because it's absolutely brilliant entertainment.
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm hoping now it will take a couple of years, but I'm hoping now that stuff like Picard, even though I can't appreciate it, but I can appreciate fans like you who adore the franchise, say, no, that's actually how you treat legacy characters.
Exactly. I mean, look how many, they've just won 4 Saturn Awards for it.
And I think we've had lots, for me, in a different realm with Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Like, Harry Potter is one of my first franchises. It's the thing that got me into books when I was a kid, so it's got a special place in my heart.
Same here.
And like, it was big with when the books came out, and then the movies were quite big, and then it never went away properly, but we didn't get a lot of Harry Potter stuff. And then we got the first Fantastic Beasts movie, which I love, and I will defend that first movie because I think it knew what it was. It was, we've got an adult character now. It's not school-based with kids, that sort of vibe that the Harry Potter had. And it was a very contained story, that first Fantastic Beasts. It's why I think it works. It sort of knew a lot of the appeal is the cutesiness of the creatures and the fact that they've always been gorgeous in whatever format you've seen the creatures in the Potterverse, whenever they have shown them off. So, like, people who've seen Prisoner of Azkaban, the whole hippogriff stuff, like, those are some of the best scenes in that movie. So people know they knew the creatures were going to be an appeal. So they combined that. And I actually think Newt, who's the main character in that, he's how you do a quote-unquote awkward character, which they love to do now and they mess up. Like, that's how you do that character trope.
We were speaking about this before, weren't we?
Yeah, it's like they understood, if you watch Newt, that he's not like this sort of... He understands emotions and he can socialize and he can talk as good as anybody, but he has that sort of nervousness and that awkwardness to have that step to be able to do that. So when Newt first meets people, he doesn't look them in the eye. He looks down. He talks very quietly. But as soon as he starts to befriend the characters in the movie, you start to see him open up. And that's proper. That's how you do a socially awkward character. Not just, I'm going to be a terrible human being and my excuse is I'm socially awkward, which is what the trope has been. So then we got Fantastic Beasts, but then those movies start to go down. because they got so like et up in setting up the rest of the films and stupid canon stuff they got into, which they didn't need to get into. So they were a bit of a letdown eventually.
And
then we got
room with Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, and the Johnny Depp situation with those movies, definitely.
Yeah.
And then we got Hogwarts Legacy, which, as a fan playing that game, I'm on my second play of it. Sorry, I'm playing it for the second time now. And you can just feel the love.
Yeah.
You can feel the proudness of the fact that they got this IP, this team. You can see the attention to detail of, like, you walk in Hogwarts, you go to certain scenes. So you go to certain places which we know from the books. And it's perfect. It's how you almost imagine some of it as a kid when you're reading those books.
Yeah. It hits you. It gets you the back of your throat, doesn't it, Charlotte, when that kind of thing happens?
Oh, yeah. It's like... And not just that, then it didn't... And I think they understood this as a game. It had to be there for the fan base. And I'm guessing when if you were to talk about Picard, it did this as well.
Yeah, it's
but
the British Enterprise.
It told its own story in that universe again. You got brand new characters in Legacy.
Yeah.
With one particularly, Sebastian Sallow, who's one of like your classmates, I'll put it that way, that you meet. So in the game, you have your core story, and then you have your companion sort of side stories that you can play. And his is an absolute roller coaster of morals, of how far would you go to save somebody you love? When is too far, too far? Like, it deals with those issues really well. And sort of the consequences of this idea of, with that storyline, good intentions and how much they can actually cause pain and suffering. So all these things. And I'm just hoping now that the industry realizes you have a legacy, whatever brand that is, you treat it with respect. And that's what I'm hoping for the next couple of years they start to learn. I think they are.
They didn't learn it with Batman, mate, did they?
But then we got Batman just recently.
Yeah. Sweet baby. Screwed that one right up to the hilt. Oh.
But no, it's not just... I'm sorry. No, the Justice League game. Have you heard about that, Cinnamon?
Oh. Well, I've seen of it. I'm, as you know, I'm a gamer myself. I've seen it on the store, but I haven't played it. I'm not really that big a DC guy, to be fair. But
do you care about spoilers?
I keep popping in and out of the stream.
Do you care about
feel
spoilers?
free to spoil it. I don't really care. Honestly, just tell me.
But the title's called Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. And then we knew Batman was going to be in this game. So we all worked out, okay, probably Batman's going to die off the title and the fact that it's Suicide Squad, they're the characters you're playing. But now we've seen actually how they've done it. And to call it disrespectful is being polite, the way they treat Batman's death.
Oh, yeah.
It is. And also, this is Kevin Conroy's, we think, last game role. We think he's got another one. We don't know. I don't know if it's an animated thing he's doing, but there's still technically one voice role he did before he died. So this is Kevin Conroy's last Rocksteady game, let's put it that way. That he's iconic. He did the voice for the Arkham games, the 3 previous games, if people don't know. And it's just, I've not watched the whole scene with Batman because I can't, I'm going to be honest. But just, he literally gets tied down on a chair. Harley lectures him about mental health issues. And then she shoots him point blank in the head.
The same alley as his parents were killed in as well.
Yeah, the same alley as his parents.
Oh, wow. You just can't make that stuff up, can you?
And yeah. So
doesn't one of the companions go to piss on him as well?
Oh, no, that's another male character.
Another one, yeah. But Wonder Woman died well.
Yes. All the male Justice League characters got taken out horribly. But Wonder Woman didn't. I wonder why. No. Also,
Sweet baby. There you go.
The Flash. Yeah. The what PD's referring to is the Flash character gets killed. and I'm not making this up either, literally bodies on the floor, and then one of the Suicide Squad members relieves himself on the body, and then they all start making jokes about how big his equipment is, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
All
Like,
in
I don't know if they
all
cut
well
that bit
Flash's
out. Or not.
body. No, it's in the game.
Oh, they did leave it in. They did leave it in because I thought
Yeah.
they cut it just before he pisses on him.
No.
Oh dear God! No wonder people want refunds on Steam.
So it's like that is talk about the levels of disrespect.
Yeah.
It's just but
Totally
the Batman
disrespectful.
ones really got people, I think. That the Flash one's terrible as well, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But Batman means a lot to people as a character. Kevin Conroy especially means a lot in that role to people.
Yeah.
Because he's been voicing it all his life. He's been the
Yeah.
definitive voice for that character. And to have him be put out like a sick dog,
Yeah.
to
It's
have
not right.
him put out with like just there we go. To have him put out like trash.
Yeah.
But it eerily echoes The Last of Us 2 for me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it.
Because that was another male character that got taken out in a disrespectful manner, in a very like in your face. We don't care about your feelings for this character. We want to take the character out in this fashion.
Yeah, yeah, it just did it. It's just ridiculous, Charlotte. We haven't got past this yet. It's just this going backwards and forwards, doing the same thing over and over again, like, you know, just like spoiled, entitled children. Oh, we don't like this. We're going to break it. We're going to break your toys. Kind of attitude. This is their problem.
The problem is, especially
Just to
games.
quickly jump in there. Am I sounding all right now? Is there
Yeah.
any delay?
Not
No.
really.
Well, typical. I've switched to my phone. I'm really going to have to see how this laptop, whether it actually is the internet or if it is just the
Probably your
laptop
Wi-Fi.
struggles with
Probably your
having
Wi-Fi.
actually guests on. I hope it isn't that, because that will be a bit of a problem, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll have to try and go back to the classic way of how I used to do things, back on my bloody phone. I really hope that isn't an issue. But I guess I'll have to experiment and find out about it. But
Yeah.
because just on the Batman thing, you're absolutely right. You know, I'm not a big Batman guy. I'm more of a Spider-Man guy. But yeah, I mean, especially when you've got like Kevin Conroy. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I definitely know that he was
Oh, he's a legend.
in those Arkham games, and he did pass away recently. And it's, you know, I don't know. These certain decisions that are being made these days. It's
I know.
a
Sweet
bit
Baby's involvement. It was.
And but to be honest, like you can't put
and the
all the
timing
blame
of it
on
as well.
them.
Carry on, my friend.
Because Batman made Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Those games gave that studio the prestige it used to have.
Yeah.
Because it's gone now. It's completely gone.
They've destroyed it.
Those games, like I said, they meant a lot to people because they were well written. The first two, Arkham Knight had issues. I'll put it that way. But even then, it still had some really good moments in it, I'll argue. So, and Batman, like, I'm not a massive comic book either person, but
No.
Batman's sort of the one I know most about and I'm the most connected to because he's been in other formats like movies and games and TV. So I've seen him probably the most. And Batman is this idea of you can have the most...
because I guess that's the bonus of it, because you don't even have to be into the comics of it all. You can be into the movies.
Yeah, he's sort of one of those comic book characters which has almost outgrown the comic bookness of him, if that makes sense.
It's multi-platform, yeah.
Yeah, because I was definitely introduced to Spider-Man, I guess, through the Tobey Maguire films.
Yeah, and that's sort of been the benefit for the last 10 plus years of comic book characters. They've grown life out for so many people in different ways, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just sad because we're going to watch Rocksteady just destroyed, pummeled into ashes now because of could they jumped in with Sweet Baby and just let them do whatever the hell they wanted. It's like
But
they realise
here's
this.
what I'll say, PD. They still allowed it to happen.
Exactly. I mean, you just can't feel sorry for them if the gatekeepers allowed the vandals through the door. If you know what I mean.
And people, and it's even funny. Even the likes of IGN have
Yeah.
now called them
Oh
out
yes. That's
and
why I got
said,
that, Charlotte. That's what the bottom line is. That's why I got no sympathy for what's happening to Disney because they allowed the vandals in.
yeah. But it's funny that even
Yeah.
gaming journalists, that if you know gaming journalism, it's full
Yeah.
of virtue signaling far left folks. It's
Yeah.
full of it. But even they're saying you don't
Yeah.
treat Batman in this fashion. You
No.
don't treat Kevin Conroy's
In his last
probably
role.
last gaming role, because we know he's got one more. But I don't know. I think it's animated. I think he's done for either animated movie or show or something.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But this is his last game role. You don't treat him this way. He's way beyond deserving a better send off.
Yeah. Yeah. He's loved by the fans, loved by everyone. You're just making him shot in the head in the end.
Because I think what Batman represents to a lot of people, and what I love about the characters, like I said, I'm not from the games, from the movies I've seen of the character. It's this idea of you can have something utterly terrible happen to you, like his parents getting killed in front of him as a child, and you can do good in the world. You can use that to make yourself better. You can use that as a fuel to defend people and to save people.
Yeah.
So you're attacking that. That's what you're attacking by doing this to Batman. That ideal.
Yeah, the ideology behind Batman. Well, the real ideology, you know what I mean, not the ideology.
The real ideology with Batman. Yeah, why he's been such an appealing character for how many years has Batman been going now?
Since the 50s, isn't
Didn't
it?
they
Really?
in a movie? Is it in the Flash movie or something like that? They call him a fascist. Fascist or something.
Yeah, that's that. I think it's Blue Beetle. That's a weird trend the last couple of years. That's why I think this scene got made. Honestly, there's a weird trend to call Batman that word and to hate him because he's rich.
1939, Charlotte, Detective Comics number 27.
Yeah, like a character doesn't last that long if they haven't got a core premise that people love.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, but because he's rich, he's apparently now evil. That's why I honestly think this scene got made, because people who believe that wanted to, through a video game, show
I hate that
the
because
hate.
the point of him being rich was like the fact that he is rich, and that isn't determine who he is. Like he's a good moral person.
Yeah.
Well, it's
when
not
you
just.
see it, we see it. You know.
But it's like even me who doesn't know the backstory and all the issues, I'm no expert. But even I can say, in nearly every version I've seen, he uses that money to build orphanages. He
Exactly.
he donates to charity. He's a massive he gives away 10 ton of his money because he can. He's that rich. He can just almost throw it away.
Modern philanthropist, yeah. It's the whole point of Batman. He's like this. It's like, then they turn around and go on. Oh, it's because he's rich. They do the same to Iron Man at the moment. They do the same in real life to Elon Musk. Elon doesn't really keep much of his money anyway. As well.
Yeah, and also the thing is with Batman, he's surrounded by aliens, Amazons, but he's human and he can match them because he's intelligent, because he's got his gadgets, he's got his support network.
That's it. That's the whole thing about Kill Bill. When Bill talks about the part of Volume 2, he turns around and says that Batman, he uses his gadgets, and but Superman is actually born with his powers, you know?
Yeah, so Batman has to in the best way. He's basically born with a weakness. By being human, which sounds weird, but in the Justice League and comic world, that would be a weakness.
Yeah.
But he punches above that.
Yeah. He compensates.
No, he just had to get taken out in the way he did in this game.
That's the problem. That's what's happened. Yeah. It's probably going to kill the franchise now. And studios. They just don't understand this, do they? We've been trying to tell them this for years, Charlotte, haven't we? If you do this, this is going to happen. XYZ is going to happen. They look at us like we're the enemy.
I think this is going to have this is going to go beyond the game now. I agree with you completely because of the character they've done it to.
Yeah, they'll do this every once in a while. They'll just pick on the wrong person. We're seeing this with Disney and Elon Musk at the moment as well. They picked on the wrong person finally. Because
and Pelts.
Pelts, yeah, they just pick on the wrong people, and that is it. The second you pick on the wrong people, that is it. Not mentioning the other one at the moment, but it happens.
But that's the problem. They've been going after the big IPs and characters, haven't they?
Yeah.
The last 5+ years. We've all got probably franchises which we love.
They're obsessed with it.
Oh yeah, totally obsessed.
We've had to sit through absolutely get decimated. Not the ones we share. I mean, we've probably all got individual ones that we're like, yeah, that got damaged for me. That got taken away from me.
Yeah. Luckily, one got returned.
For now, P.D.
Yeah, for now, until Kurtzman gets his hands back on it, grabby mitts back on it, and ruins it again. Oh God, I just don't understand it. Yeah, I was saying about when Terry Metalis was going on about the Saturn Award. I said, I bet Alex Kurtzman was waiting behind the scenes with his mitts, going, "Oh, give me an award! I win award again.
It's mine. It's mine.
Mine. Go in my office." Oh, and another comment by what's his name from Rick Berman about how bad it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I just can't.
Okay, we've been a bit depressing. What are we looking forward to? Have we got anything we're looking forward to?
June Part 2, I think so far, and there's some more stuff coming up as well.
So what do you like about those movies, PD? Because I'm a complete noob to them, so you can.
Well, it's a retelling of a retelling of a retelling. It's like the third version of June. Now we're in the third version. The first version was David Lynch's. Then we had the Frank Herbert's June TV series, which went right up from the first book to the third book. And now we've got a retelling of the first book, and we're going to have a bit of the second book, apparently, according to Danny Villeneuve. So that's where that's going. So that's the new news from June that we're going to do. We're going to do June Messiah after it. So we're going to have the first and the second book, and the third film is going to be the second book, pretty much.
Well, at least they've planned it out. That's a good plus. They know actually what books they're adapting, not doing it on the fly.
Yeah, like everything else at the moment.
Cinema, what are you looking forward to this year? And that could be movies, TV, anything.
Well, I'm back on my phone again. I switched back to the laptop, switched back to my phone. This is a nightmare. But what am I looking forward to? Oh, I guess, I mean, it probably won't come out this year. But the fact that they announced 28 Days Later sequel, the fact that franchise is finally back up and running, well, are in the works, because those two films I actually prefer the sequel to the first one. I'm one of those people. And I suppose this first one is a lot more story oriented. The second one a lot more action. But I don't know. I always kind of preferred the second one. Probably because I watched that one first. But that was an old franchise that has been laid dormant. I think that one came out in 2007. So it's been a good few years, and I always felt like it had potential, because there's so many good films out there that I always think, oh wow, that could do with another film. Oh, I'd love to see more of that, and then they never do. And then you get other films that just pump out sequel after sequel, and then it just it loses its charm, or it loses, the Jaws film, for example. Jaws 1, I think, is a really good movie. But did we need 2, 3D, and then, multiple sequels, because it was just the same thing eventually. And I just think, there's not much to look forward to these days, because it's a lot of dross out there. Movies and TV isn't what it used to be, but it's when I get little news like that, I mean, I heard that about the Argyle. That seems okay. I think there's something that, what's his name? Ryan Gosling's doing about stuntmen. That looks okay as well. But when I heard that news that they're definitely, I think it's confirmed now that that they're going to make another film. I think they're going to make 3. I think that's the plan. I think it's going to be 3 of the 28 years later, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, 20.
And I look forward to that when that eventually comes.
Well, that's good if it's something you've sort of loved for a while and it's finally coming back.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
it the
I
same-
mean, I watched them a couple of years ago, but it's nice to see something that that was really talked about, because it was really good, because it was a different type of zombie movie. I know that's the debate. Or is it zombies? Is it virus or whatever? But
Yeah.
it's of the genre. It's the same thing, and it's like before, before that, like, was there really fast moving kind of zombies? Like we kind of get The Last of Us, which kind of like has a different spin on it.
I know that was
Like,
way
because we've got
later,
the sort of
wasn't
the
it?
typical Walking Dead. Yeah, it was, but
Yeah.
it's we have the sort of typical slower zombies, and then you get like 28 Days Later, which I think was one of the first
Yeah. Berserk
like
zombies. They were.
different, like you got some of them sprinting at them, and that was like they were extremely strong as well. They went to sort of slow and shambling where you could easily beat them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you started to see like World War Z. I haven't seen that film, but again, Brad Pitt was in that one, and again, fast moving kind of
Yeah.
one versions of it. You get again The Last of Us, which puts a different spin on it. I guess I haven't played the games, but again, it's
Yeah,
something new.
it's more
And
like
it was a good franchise. So,
so The Last of Us. It's more like fungal. That's their take on it.
Yeah. It's like the
Yeah,
ones
it's
that
kinda like-
the fungal virus.
that's all I know about is like flowers and vegetation and all that.
Yeah. It's a fungus. I mean, they take over
I
tarantulas.
think I did start to play it. I think I got stuck in it at a certain bit.
Yeah. Can't remember what the fungus is called.
Quarter something. Quarter. So I love that game. So I think it's cordyceps or something
Yeah.
like that. So is it the
Yeah,
same?
I was
people
really
working on
tempted
this?
to watch the show.
Yeah. That's where it comes from. It's cordyceps. Yeah.
I was really tempted to watch the
Good
show,
enough.
but I realised I thought maybe playing the game was probably better to do the game first, then probably play that. Because, when it comes to video game adaptations to movies and TV shows, it's not the best of track record, but
We're getting better at the moment. We've got some good ones at the moment about.
Yeah.
I suppose the Mario movie was a decent attempt, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the Sonic
I mean,
movies,
obviously, I
they're
mean
not
the
bad.
recent one, not the 90s, whatever that was.
Yeah. Oh, the Sonic video game movie was funny. There's a censored version and uncensored.
And I think they did Nathan Drake as well, didn't they?
I didn't. Yeah, I know they did. I didn't hear a lot of reviews, good or bad, for Uncharted.
Yeah.
I think I went to watch it, but I just never really got around to it.
So is it the same people, this sequel, working on 28? Is it the same crew?
I think it is. I think, yeah. It's the same crew on the first one anyway. And I think the people who made the second one, some Spanish director. It was a different team. I think Danny Boyle was the guy, I think, who wrote it. Or did he direct it? Well, either way, he worked on it. And some Andrew Garland, maybe. Something like that. I think those two are back on it. So, it's the old team. So I suppose that's good. That you've got the old crew back on it, the original people. But then again, just because it's got the old crew back doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be, an instant, great success. I mean, just to look at the Russell T Davies thing, just because you got somebody back who worked on something that was successful before doesn't, equally translate to instant success now. But
yeah, we've seen that.
And how they do it as well, where they actually stick to it. They just got to. I think if they stick to what made it fun and to what made it actually like unique, because those are pretty. The thing about 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, that they're actually quite scary, and it's not often things scare me anymore now that I'm a bit older. But it's like it's quite dark. Like when you've got like the father of his father who's trying to protect his children, and he's like. There's like zombies in between him and his wife, and in a split-second decision, he's got to make a life-altering, a decision, and he has to close that door, and it's like that is quite grim stuff, and it's like that was. I've often heard it said that the first like 5-10 minutes to that movie were the best part of it, and then everything else goes downhill. I can understand why people say that because those first 10 minutes are quite explosive. And it was different. I like how raw it is because those films, they were very gritty. I don't think they had the biggest budget. It wasn't like some big, again, some sort of like dramatic, like again World War Z. You've got mountains of zombies climbing walls. It was quite gritty in the fact that it was set in Britain. It wasn't some like it was all about survivors. It isn't about let's find a cure, let's save the world, let's kick ass kind of thing. It wasn't Left 4 Dead. It wasn't anything like any sort of anything else. I've always quite liked how sort of gritty and actually realistic it could be. And just the tone of it, the tone was always very good of it. The atmosphere was always very good with those movies, I always thought. And I just hope that we get that back because, again, it's the fact that in today's climate that you've got to say that because, but back once upon a time, we used to just sort of get good movies and bad movies and then that would be it. You never had to worry too much about what's going to be good anymore. But there's always a risk of that, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the main thing for me is Arcane Season 2. We've sort of been waiting. I think it's been 2 years since the first season because animation takes for ages to do.
Yeah.
So you have to wait. But Arcane surprised me when I first saw it on Netflix. It was sort of, thank you, Darren, for being in the chat. It's been lovely to have you.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, Arcane sort of...
Yeah, thank you very much, Darren. Again, I appreciate it. This has been a bit of a crazy stream, but I appreciate everyone popping in nonetheless.
Yeah, so Arcane I sort of knew what it was when I started to watch it. I was like, oh, I think this is based on League of Legends, which is a big video game, like a MOBA, I think they're called. And I knew it had a crazy amount of lore, the game, but it didn't focus on it. So I was like, they probably just really focused in on the lore that I know this game has, but it's never been the forefront. But I didn't know anything. So I think that was half the reason why it floored me so much, the characters, because I was new to them completely. And Arcane, for me, is some of the best animation and storytelling I've seen in years, because it's that hybrid thing that now we're seeing a lot, but it's like the 2D aspect is watercolor. That's the best comparison I could give you. So you have this beautiful watercolor with neon, with all the computer animation behind it. So faces sort of have all the lovely old-fashioned animation you can have with all the more up-to-date tech you can have. And like the palette of Arcane is this lovely mixture of really beautiful, sort of decadent stuff versus really punk fashion, like punk style, I would say, and sort of neon and like griminess, and then it'll be beautiful sort of steampunk. It's that idea of steampunk meets punk sort of aesthetic. But the thing that I think really impressed me and why I'm so excited when now it's coming back is those are the most complex and developed characters I've seen in a while on anything. Hello, no. That you actually have damaged characters done right. You actually have characters which are very morally grey done right.
Yeah.
Because the idea of Arcane is basically that world anyway, is nobody's a real 100% good guy. Everybody's got some sort of guilt or some sort of bad side to them, or they struggle to decide what's right or wrong. So you can realistically have people do a terrible act and then do something really quote unquote morally good. You can't really pick out what somebody's going to do. And then it's sort of the core character is Jinx in Arcane. And the first season was basically, let's do a realistic madness arc. How can somebody realistically start as a very innocent child, basically, when you meet Jinx? And she's sort of idealistic almost a little bit. And because of her actions, she does a lot of damage. And then that damage just starts mounting and mounting and mounting until it breaks her in the final episode.
Snowballing effect.
But it's a beautiful way to tell madness. That's the best word I could use, which is odd for madness.
Yeah.
But it's because you can see every turn, You can see every character that turns her into what she becomes. You can almost see the justification for her actions near the end of the series. And they're horrible actions. They're sort of like, on the surface, you'd say she's a bad Joker clone on the surface. But if you actually watch the series, no, it's if the Joker had more complex morals, I would argue, Jinx's. And you sort of have this sort of core thing also of, in Arcane, how relationships can deteriorate. How relationships can go from being incredibly strong and loving to being full of hate. And sort of, because in real life that happens. And that's what I love about Arcane. It's so realistic, the storytelling. So we're finally going to get season 2, we think November this year. And they've already started to tease it. So it's just like, okay, what are we going to do with these characters again? I can't wait to see Jinx again, see Vi, who's a sister in it, who's a major part of it. And they left it also on a massive cliffhanger to season 1. Like a literal, like, oh God, okay, that's going to have massive repercussions now. How's that going to affect everybody? So, yeah, Arcane is my big thing. I'm definitely looking forward to this year.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm looking
So
for.
how long ago was the first season?
I want to say it's been about 2 years. I could be off by that, but because it took them, I think because they were working on it for at least 5 years before it premiered, because they had to develop the technique, this sort of hybrid, which is gorgeous. They had to basically, because the property is a game, they had to get all permission and like the okay from the game developer for them to do their stories, because they were technically using the characters that were Riot's, who do League of Legends. And it was like a big risk for Riot to agree to this, because there hadn't been this sort of animated show before based on a property. Like, this was a real sort of experiment and a real sort of, we need to take this risk. It could blow up in our faces, or it could really go amazing. And it went, luckily, the amazing end.
Yeah.
That now, like, there's people who have never played the games like me who love this show. And that's a hard thing to do, because it's such a hard transition, isn't it? But that's because they've done, once again, they've told their own story in this universe. They've kept the core thing of the characters, from what I can tell, and from people on YouTube who talk about it, who know these characters from the game, have said, yeah, these are the characters we know, but they're sort of turned on their heads in the best way. This is almost like an alternate universe telling of these characters. And they've already teased they're going to introduce some brand new ones from the game. And the people who know them from the game are like, wait till you guys meet these characters, sort of thing. We know them and they're brilliant, so you guys are going to love them. So I think it's been 2 years. Let me just double check that. I'll just mute myself so you don't hear me keyboarding.
Okay, yeah. There we go. Yeah, so we got Dan Hadley asking about you now, Cinnamon. You're doing quite well for your first time out.
There we go. So Arcane Season 1 was 2021. So it's been 3 years.
Wow.
No, I can't count. 2021. No, 2 years. I was right, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
That's the animation, folks. You can't
rush it.
Can't get a season out quickly. And that's a good sign, I think, that they've not rushed this. They could have, because it got such rave reviews. It got such high viewing figures for Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. Apparently, everyone I know raves about Arcane.
It's, like I said, it's all the tropes done right that you got a lot of female characters in it. You have got like a burgeoning gay relationship. I think there's technically, I would say there's two. There's one that's official. There's one that's sort of hinted at.
Yeah.
Sort of you've got sort of stereotypical sort of male evil, but once again, it's evil. But once you dig underneath the surface, it's actually that there's still almost good in this character. It's just buried, or you can understand why he does the things he does completely because of the world, because of how messed up the world is.
Yeah. It's just it's just good storytelling. I mean, this is the thing at the moment. If you can tell a good story, you're laughing. But if you just mess around and just do a completely modify and change everything, everyone's just going to be angry at you for hours.
Yeah, and I think people, almost writers, have forgotten the basics. It feels
That's
like.
That's
this show, in some ways, does experiment with storytelling and what it can do, but then in other times, it's really tried and tested stories of a love between a father and his daughters, the love between sisters, the idea of the highers, the sort of the affluent in society looking down on the lowers in society.
Yeah.
Sort of class warfare. Sort of this idea of innovation and how far can you push it. Like, these are themes we know and they've been proven to work in stories before.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's mixed with sort of very new, I would argue, experimental storytelling, which works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, if it's good, it's good, If you hit the right nails, hit the right notes at the right time. It's like a concert. You hit the right notes at the right time, the fans are going to love it.
Oh, and that's the other thing, the music in this show. I mean, if you've got Sting singing for your soundtrack, it's like, they've put effort into the music. It's like every track, when it's playing in the background of a scene, matches what's happening in the scene. And I felt like that's been missing in media for so long.
Yeah.
Actually having music tell your story as well.
That's it. That's a lost art, mate. That is a lost art. We don't get much of that now.
Oh yeah, if you listen to the lyrics of the songs for Arcane, they are directly reflecting the characters' emotions and what their journeys are. So that's the other thing. I'm excited to hear the soundtrack for season 2. It's just like, I've not felt like this for ages. It feels like about a project.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's like they're losing the art. They're losing the art and the science behind Hollywood nowadays. It's just becoming like dog food.
Amateurs.
Yeah. It's just kind of like dog food. It's a processed meat now, Come from choice cuts to processed meat, and I just think that's what's killing the industry at the moment. We've got to go back to basics and try again and try and go forward again with something new, But yeah, it's just like
it's getting that mix of new and innovative, whilst I don't know, it gets being original, but then just like it's a lack of lack of creativity is killing it. Like,
that's it.
Like, bloody hell, do you remember that bloody Velma show that came out last year? Like, what was all that about? Like, God.
Crash and burn. No Scooby-Doo in it.
Yeah, look how quiet that's gone away. Like, that is like everyone forgot about that as quick as it nearly came out, and it was planning. Aren't they doing like a second season of that? It's like, who sits there and like who thinks these things are a good idea? And it's like I was saying, like, you've got these good franchises, like one Charlotte was saying there. That, like, it's been around for 2 years or something, and like they've been waiting to do a second one. They've got franchises like 28 Days Later. That was, that's been sat dormant, and that was rumored for years and years whether they'd make it 28 months later, and then it never got round to it. And now finally, it seems to be real. You're wasting time. Well, all these shoddy. God, what do you even describe it? It's wastes of time. Like, nobody asked for, nobody wants, And then
Yeah.
you've got like genuine IPs there and franchises that are just waiting to be used, waiting to
Yeah.
be picked up, waiting to have new life breathed into it. Even old existing ones like Star Trek needs a new leaf of life.
Yeah. It's Star Trek
It's,
Legacy.
Star Wars is Star Wars is God. I mean, what is Star Wars at the minute? I mean, that is just stagnant. I mean,
We had Mandalorian.
I'm quite a big Star Wars fan. Doctor Who comes first for me, but
Yeah.
Star Wars is just slowly getting the life drained out of it, and it's just like
Yeah.
even Doctor Who could be potentially heading in that direction if it doesn't get itself in gear. It's just it's
Yeah.
so sapped of energy, and the industry's just so toxic now.
It's kind of like zombified, hasn't it? Really. It's just like zombies
Yeah,
trying to act
literally,
like humans.
literally zombies.
Yeah. Zombies trying to act like humans. It's like literally like the industry now.
Especially when
Well,
you're getting the wrong people for these
Yeah.
projects as well. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Chennai woman, whatever her name is, I'm sorry, I couldn't care that I can't get it wrong. I don't even want to spend the time learning her name because
I
they'll
don't
even get
get that,
cancelled anyway.
actually. My problem with that is she's not a drama director. She's not a film director.
she's a
She's a
documentary
documentary
person,
maker. Yeah,
which
Yep.
is a very different skill set.
exactly. And it's like you.
And I think she's done on that about what was it she did about Iranian women,
Oh, Pakistani, yeah, Pakistan. That's
freedom
understandable.
fighters.
Yeah.
That's something you're passionate in. But then how do you go from that to Star Wars? Like,
Yeah.
who thought you were like again? And it's again about the whole thing about the writer, well, not the writer, but this I guess the book adaptation for The Church from Ruby Road. The writer for that, it's like who picked you? Like, where did that come
Yeah.
from? Like, why you? Like, are you being picked for your ideology?
Yeah.
Because we look at the things she's been tweeting, the things she's been saying, and it's like, oh, you fit our crowd, or we'll have you, or we'll take two birds with one
Yeah.
stone. Oh, you're a woman. Oh, you fit this demographic. And it's like we've seen a lot. And again, I couldn't care less who's in the show. I don't care how many gay people are in the show.
Yeah.
I don't care who makes the show. I don't care who makes it. I don't care who writes for it. All I care about is if it's good or not.
Yeah.
But people are understandably going to sit there and say, well, hang on, a lot of your Russell, if you don't mind me saying, a lot of your casting announcements have been of a certain persuasion. Is there any particular reason to that? People, and it's like this needs to stop with the media, because I'm really getting a bit sick and tired now of people labeling people as just trolls, especially with the whole criticism of the 60th.
Yeah.
People criticized it. People give their opinions about certain characters, and all we saw was news articles attacking people. Trolls this, trolls that, trolls there and everywhere. Like, no, like, are we immune? Have we forgotten what it's like to constructively criticize things anymore? Like, everything. Why does if you were not on board? It's like if you're not on board with it, if you dare have anything, oh, you're just a troll. You're just a troll. Like, no. Like, we care about these franchises. We don't just sit here and hate it. And it's like, it's again, if you don't like it, just leave. Well, that doesn't answer it. That doesn't solve anything. That's just like, what's that expression where you've got a leak and it's pouring out water, and just slap a sticker on it. It didn't actually fix it. It's temporarily stopping it. Oh yeah, if we all went away, that would be a form of solution. But we don't want to go away. But we never said we wanted to. We care about these franchises, these IPs. I know from their point of view, it seems like we sit here and scream about it all day. But it comes from a genuine place. It comes from the heart. I want to see it in the best it could possibly be.
Yeah, I mean, when we have to walk away, what do they say? Oh, everyone's walking away. Fans are buying our product. Oh my god, we can't make more product. Everyone walks away. And it's like, you've caused this.
Because you can't continuously replace your audience, which seems to be a weird idea they've had in Hollywood and BBC and lots of places currently. That are just you can just keep finding new fans Like there's an infinite well that just will keep appearing for your stuff.
The road
If
to
you-
El Dorado, yeah. of
If
fans.
you burn enough of the establishment fans of something,
Yeah.
and it's this arrogance. That's what's got me. It's like another
Yeah.
thing I love, The
Hubris.
Witcher, that got killed by arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
Those writers, clear as day, thought they were better than the books, thought they were
Yeah.
better than the games that came before them, and they thought
Yeah.
nothing compared to the games and the books.
I mean, I played those games. I mean, I played the third one. I did beat the main quest, the main story. I think I did start the expansion. There was 2 expansions. So I think I
Yes.
started the
Oh,
third
yeah.
one, and I got so far and I stopped playing, which is a shame because if I went, I'd like to finish that again. But if I go back to that now, I'd forget everything. So I feel like I'm gonna have to restart from scratch, which would be a shame because that was quite a long game. But I really enjoyed that, and it's like I am not familiar with that lore or that French. I know Charlotte, you'll be more familiar with it than me. I played the third game. Like I said, I beat the story. Did start the DLC. I have got the second one actually on. I think I got it on a Game Pass. I got it on like, the Xbox Gold Live thing. So I
Yeah.
think what I'm going to do, I think I might go back and watch the first one. I think first one might be the PC game exclusive. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it
so.
was, yeah, and it's very old, that
Right.
first game.
There is
Yeah.
a special
So I think I
edition
might
version, though.
I think I might watch like a playthrough of that and then
Yeah,
like
that's-
play the second
then-
one and then
that's
start the
better.
third one and really do it properly because like I mean I feel like the third game was kind of a good jumping on point. Like I wasn't confused. Like I'd imagine there'd be certain characters in that were in previous games, but I never felt lost. Like I got sucked into that quite well because I love RPGs. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan.
Yeah.
I'm into all the RPG games. Fable is my favorite video game of all time. You know, I love RPGs,
Oh, you'll
and I
love
really
the
did like
tone
The Witcher.
then. The
And
Witcher
it's
has
like
a
that
similar-
is
The Witcher has a very similar tone to Fable, I would say, in bits. Especially the games have a similar tone.
yeah. I'd say that possibly the humor because I think a lot of it is kind of based loosely off kind of British. I mean, I know there's obviously American actors in the game, but like the whole medieval, a lot of medieval stuff is kind of loosely based off like old medieval Brit. I mean, even it's like when they
Yeah.
complain about Lord of the Rings, why aren't there that many black people in Lord of the Rings? Is it well, you know, you got to think about the sort of the tone of the fantasy and the genre and where that genre, what is fantasy, what is medieval, where does stuff like Lord of the Rings that comes from human culture? That's
Well,
a very
yeah, Tolkien.
European.
Yeah, he based it
Yeah,
on
exactly.
his
Tolkien,
very
he
clear-
wrote that, and where's he from?
Yeah.
He based it on European lore and stories.
Yep.
That's what The Witcher's based off. It's based off Polish folk
Yeah,
stories.
exactly.
So you get that sort of European old, I would
That's
argue that
precisely
old
my point.
European sense of humour and that old European way of looking at things. That's what The Witcher comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
whether it's kicking chickens or getting drunk or whatever you can do in the game, but you know that game has its audience. I really like that game. Again, like I said, I'll probably go back and really get the full story of the first and the second game, and then start the third. I'll probably redo a replay of the third game again. But it's like that game has very very loyal fans, even people from the books. I mean, maybe the books were written first, and then they adapted it into a game.
Yeah,
But it's like, and then when they ported that to a TV show, the hype must have been big. I think I actually did watch the first season with him in it, and I think I did quite like it. I think I went to start to watch the second season. I think I just never got round to it. I think I said, I made plans to watch it, but again, I just never got round to it. But that has a very good core audience. That's a whole franchise there. Maybe not as big as other franchises, but again, when you have these writers that will just we'll change it. We won't follow, the books, or we won't follow the basic premise. And we see it with Marvel with the comics. We're just gonna ignore the whole stories that have came before. We're gonna do our own thing. I said, well, why didn't you make your own thing then? Because you can do what you want to do if you make your own thing.
Yeah.
But like this is an established franchise with very dedicated fans that would love to see a proper TV series.
Yeah.
But
and not just that, we had the perfect lead. We had Henry, who adores the books, who knows Geralt, as a character back to front, I would argue, who played the games. So he knows, he even talked about his original voice. He didn't like it and it wasn't working for Geralt. So luckily they had a break in filming. So they could literally go back and refilm. If you don't know, that first series, they refilmed a lot of it because the voice wasn't working. And he said, I sort of started doing a voice and he didn't realize he was basically heavily inspired by the video game voice actor, Doug Cockrell, who does Geralt in the video games. So and that's sort of become the voice for the character in people's heads still because of how big the games got. So he sort of was copying, but his own version, it's not a direct copy of Doug. If you listen to them back to back, you can definitely hear Henry's sort of little changes and inflections he's doing. And the fact that he had to fight, now more stuff, I think we eventually will even get more stuff will come out behind the scenes, whether Henry will eventually talk or stuff will just get leaked. I wouldn't be surprised. But the fact that he had to fight, and that was even his words he once said in an interview, he had to fight to keep it as close to the books as possible.
Yeah, he really had to fight that
he
one.
had to, in his own words, I think season 2 he was talking about, he had to fight to keep Geralt's lines intelligent and to show actually that if people like the simple way to explain the Witcher to people is they're mutants, they're humans or usually young children, boys who are experimented on by mages, sort of horrible stuff they go through. Most of them die.
Chemotherapy. Technically, they have to go through chemotherapy.
Yeah, like most of them die. So it's a miracle if you get through it. And Geralt was a bit of an oddity because he got through it once quite well, so he went through it again. So he did even more experiments on him.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to strip you of emotion. So that's one big thing, that the character shouldn't have emotion, but Geralt does. It's his big sort of flaw. But the big thing is, because of being a mutant, he's been around he looks about 30. He's about 90, technically, his age. So he's a wise soul, basically. And if you understand the character, you would show that. And Henry was saying in interviews, he had to fight to keep the dialogue to show that. So that sort of just shows, just to wrap up the problem, you've got, like you said, Cinnamon, people that don't know the IP, they don't know the characters, and then they just change it, and then it dies. So now the show, when it does come back, I think it will hardly have an impact now because Henry's gone. Yeah. It's been shown up what the writers are like. We've seen the changes now, which have gotten worse in the third series. So yeah. So that's it. But the good thing is there's going to be more books. The authors come out and said, yeah, I'm going to write more. Starkovsky's come out and said that. So that's...
It's a shame because they'd label him as a problematic. They'd say, they might say that, Cavill was a difficult person to work with. And he's like, well, no, it's just he's passionate about the project. He's, he knows what it's like. He understands it. He's trying to make it the best he can be. But it's when you've not got people in unison, when it comes to a creative vision, when you've got people pulling in different directions, and you see where it's at now. I think it's got a different actor, isn't it? Like the brother of the Thor. The brother of Thor is now the actor, and it's like, well, okay, now you've got a big thing, and an actor change. That's pretty big. That's something you can just hide.
It's okay because the writers have come out and said they're going to focus it on Ciri anyway. So Geralt's not even going to be a main character. Now,
and it's like, well, I will say I'm not as familiar with the story. Maybe she is a very focal point, but it's like, are people watching it for her or watching it for Geralt? I know she's part of the games. I remember when I played it, but is that what people want to see? Do people want to have it more focus shifted on her, or are people happy with that, or are they kind of miffed?
Basically, to put it simply, it's a very traditional. Geralt's the main character, but there's like a group of important characters around him, and she's
because what I got from it was that there was Geralt, there was Yennefer, Ciri, and then there was the older guy who was kind of Geralt's mentor. Is that
Oh,
correct?
Yeah.
well, yeah, you've got oh, I feel bad. What's his? Yeah, I
his
know you
friend?
mean. You've got Dandelion as well, who's his
Oh,
friend
yeah.
in the books and the games.
Yeah. Forgot
Like I
Foltest.
remember there being quite a few recurring characters that were like there throughout the game, like his friends. You know, there's
Zoltan. Yeah,
things like that.
Zoltan.
Yeah. So I've always said like the best way to understand The Witcher is Geralt's almost like this force that makes everything happen around him. So
Yeah.
he's still the focal point, but you will get, for example, books 2 or 3 chapters where he's not in them because it is focusing on or Triss. But he's still the focal point because he basically makes everything happen. He's sort of this idea of destiny sort of swirls around him. It's said quite a few times in the books. It keeps following him.
Yeah.
So stuff happens around him a lot. Sort of. So seems
You can get away
important.
with that in books, though, can't you? Because I guess with it being a book, you know, historically, I've got the books. I'm literally looking at them right now. The books of the original 7 Harry Potter films, and it's like with it being books, there's always a lot more you can do with it. You'll hear everyone say, even with Doctor Who, you'll have people back in the day who watched the original stories, but then like that was it. There was no repeats, and it's like they'd get the target novelization, they get the book version of it, and they would find that they actually enjoyed the book version more than they did the actual episode because it delved deeper, it explored a little bit more, it went into things that perhaps you couldn't do in a 25-minute constraint because at the end of the day, you can't have a 5-hour Witcher movie. As great as that would sound, but you know, you've got to only do so much within these episodes or these movies, etc. So with the books, there's always a lot more you can do. You know, so with a book, I can imagine quite happily you could have a few chapters where the main character's not in it. I mean, they even did that with Walking Dead, I guess, where you had a few episodes where Rick wasn't even in it. You know, they'd focus on other characters, you know, and I guess whether that was for contractual reasons, a bit like how, you know, we always had a Dr. Light episode, for example. But, you know, it's great for a book, but do you think that can work for a TV show? I guess maybe it's fine. I don't know. It's a question for you, I guess. It's what the fans want, I guess, isn't it?
Like I said, for Witcher, it's called The Witcher. The books are called The Witcher. So you need to still have Geralt as your main character.
Yeah.
But you can have 1 or 2 episodes who could be in it like a little bit and then concentrate on other characters to sort of have that theme like the books, like I said, of a couple of chapters without him in them. But he needs to still be front and center.
Yeah.
You can't
I guess
have
it
him
depends on the
back.
episode count as well, doesn't it? Because it's like you might have like an 8-episode season. You know, I think
Yeah,
it was
and the length of them, because that Netflix likes to change how long they do episodes
Oh
nowadays.
yeah.
But it's the way it was said in the interview as well. It was very blatant. It was like, oh, so he's not. It's not like, oh, we're going to concentrate a bit more on Ciri next series. It was like, no, Ciri's the main character. It's like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
No, never has been.
She's important.
And does she follow the typical kind of character trait of, you know, she's absolutely perfect at everything and she doesn't have to learn anything, she doesn't have to train, she's instantly amazing at everything she does?
Well, they will in the series 2. They did show her training, and she did fail a bit, and she did have to learn because she's a human trying to be Witcher, and like I said, they're mutated.
Yeah.
So she couldn't do the things that Witchers can do. She just can't. She's powerful with magic, but physically, all the other abilities she doesn't have that Witchers have. So they did show that, but the problem is, and this is the other problem, that with other characters, they have overinflated other characters, that they've got way more power than they should, like Yennefer in the show. Yennefer's become the central point of so many power plays that she was nowhere near in the books. That she can't be, if she was let's put it this way, if she was as important in the show as she was in the books, her ending would have been very different in the books, because you wouldn't have been able to justify the way she technically dies, because you'd be, no, she's this powerful, she's got this much sway, she should have just been okay. because that's the thing with the books. They sort of end very anticlimactic, but he's doing that on purpose. You can tell the author to have a point with the characters, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil them. But like I said, it's clear with the authors, it's done in a very sort of, we haven't got Henry anymore to badger us, so we can tell the new guy, you're not the lead anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's Liam Hemsworth, he's not as much of a A-lister name as Henry.
Christmas for Hemsworth.
Yeah, he's budget Hemsworth.
Yeah.
It's a shame because again, like I remember that being quite heavily, I think, promoted at the time. I remember seeing a lot of Witcher trailers. I remember it being quite a big thing that first season or so. And I remember watching it and like really enjoying it.
It got quite good reviews, that first series, because they kept roughly to the books. There was a bit of change, but they roughly kept to the books.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand a bit of change because naturally, if you're going to tell a story, you have to adapt a script or a story from a book to a video game to a TV show. So you can forgive a few changes, but when you directly go your way to do it,
that's what they did. The next series, that was the problem. It's like in the third series, they took a really villainous, horrible character, and they're trying to do a love story with him and Yasuke, who's their Dandelion. They just, for some weird reason, gave him a different name. But they're doing a whole love plot between Dandelion and a character that should never be in a love plot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So they're going out their way. They're going out their way to make changes. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, definitely a problem. Yeah, the guy would never make love to Yasuke in a million years. Is going to make love to Yasuke. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
So, and you don't realize it's probably more damaging to have these two as a pair.
Yeah. Nothing alike. They'd kill each other.
But one of them would kill the other. Yeah.
Just for looking at him funny. Yeah.
So, but that said, the good thing about The Witcher, and I think this is the thing that I think is the takeaway that's positive. If it's a long enough franchise, somebody else will come and do something different.
Yeah.
Or the original writers or people who created these characters will eventually come and say, no, we're going to take it back and we're going to show you how to do it.
But we had it with One Piece, didn't we? But it showed us after Cowboy Bebop was absolutely failing in live action that One Piece came along and absolutely nailed it.
There's two of me. There's two of me now.
But you're not echoing. That's good.
Oh goodness me! This streaming has had everything, hasn't it? I mean, wow! I think I've bio-regenerated. Goodness me! Get them out of here.
But at least you're not in your underpants and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say I'm quite a bit perplexed by this because it's working okay on my phone, but it's when I go on my laptop, it's just really struggling. I don't know if it's an internet thing.
It's always Wi-Fi issues.
But then I just think because I'm using my Wi-Fi on this phone and it seems to be okay.
Phone's a bit better on Wi-Fi than.
But it's a fair stream, I guess. It's a test run. I mean, I wish it went a bit better than it did, I suppose. But you figure these things out. I mean, maybe we can.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to speak to people. And just get the lowdown on it, really, because.
Yeah.
I hope it isn't a problem because I bought this laptop specifically for streaming. Really, so if it can't even do that, then what the hell's the point?
Yeah, I know. Just you got to keep an eye on Wi-Fi. You got to keep an eye on Wi-Fi and laptops. They're not only the best. Someone who used to be an IT technician. Yeah, just keep an eye on them.
Get PD backstage or afterwards. Have a chat with you. He'll help.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to wrap up now anyway, and I'm on my phone literally right now, and I'll switch over because it was working fine. Because I'm literally, as you'll see, I keep popping on and off. I keep going on, keep coming on the stage, keep coming off it. I keep switching back to my laptop, to the phone.
Yeah.
And when I'm on the laptop, I'm all right for it. It really lags. And you all sound really robotic-y. And it just kicks me off eventually.
Yeah.
So again, maybe get in contact with StreamYard. They kept saying something about a get in contact thing, get in chat or whatever. So I'll have a play around with it. This is kind of again, it's called a pilot. It was how I was kind of doing it was because I didn't want to try and speak over people, so I just kind of whenever I'd say something, I'd hope that like it kind of caught up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of going to go for about an hour or so, but we've gone for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So
There you go.
I think that's probably a decent start, to be fair. So we can probably wrap it up there. It was just again, I got a test stream, I guess, just to give it a go. I never really had a set topic. We just kind of rambled about a few different things, but I thought maybe we're worth mentioning it. Michael Jaston. I think I even wanted to mention about the King and his prostate exam, but I didn't know if that I could see that in there.
Calling him the King instead of just King Charles, like everybody else is just calling him, like it's a stage name.
Yeah, well, I just thought because I wanted this to kind of not just be a Doctor Who thing. This could be again, like I don't mind. This doesn't have to be a Doctor Who thing. This could be about anything about video game. We can sit here and talk about The Witcher. I think I put in the. Did I put in the description?
You said like everything in the description.
Yeah,
you said, like,
literally anything. It's. I mean, I tried to maybe not politics as much, but anything newsworthy, anything of interest that might be worth mentioning on the stream. Again, books, movies, anything of the sort, really. But yeah, I'll have a feel around because I really hope, even if it means I have to switch different internet, because I don't actually have traditional internet. I actually have my data. I have unlimited data. Because I found that actually I found like that was working fine, and like I was a bit low in money, so I got to pay more to get internet. I didn't really need to because this is working fine. So maybe if I actually
your laptop's going through your phone and then out into the. That's what's
possibly.
wrong.
I do have other internet. I do have access to other that I could possibly use, but like I say, it's just a pilot, just to figure things out.
Data's different from Wi-Fi, mate. Data will just go straight out.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why we're going to have you on to get this show on the road, man.
Yeah.
But 2 hours was it? 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours and 18 minutes. It was a lot longer than I actually anticipated. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap this up now. But I did want to thank you both for coming on. I know this isn't how you think, but I know it's easy to just sort of like, oh well, he's only got 40 subscribers. Is it really the bother? I won't bother. But it's I know saw the Noel popped in the chat there as well. It's nice to have a few people pop in. I actually didn't know that I'd get any on the chat tonight. I actually didn't expect anybody to pop in. So to have a few people. I know Review It Yourself was in here earlier, and Darren M. But I appreciate you sending out the message.
That's fine.
Even if it just means I gotta like record these, even if again, because these crunch casts, I could put these out as videos, I could put these out as live streams. I did want to do live streams because I did think it's more interactive to actually talk with people in the chat. But I guess I'll see what works best. I'm still new to it. I mean, I've literally done 2 videos and 1 shoddy live stream. But God, yeah. But we'll figure it out as we go along, and I'll see what I can do. But yeah. So I'll wrap up now anyway. But yeah. So for anyone who's still watching, to anyone who's still listening, if anyone can even still hear me, if I'm not lagging, please feel free to subscribe. I would appreciate it. But if you don't want to, then don't go watch Mr. TARDIS instead. Watch what you want.
Clearly insane.
If you like what you see, you like it. If you don't like what you see, then don't. Thank you to my guests, PD and Queen Charlotte, for giving their time to me tonight. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do this again when I've got more of an idea of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Say again? I think there's an NHS helpline for going and watching Mr. TARDIS anyway now. Had to set one up, didn't they?
Oh, God. I've ruined it now. I've had to load the tone by mentioning people. I apologise. Why did I do that? Oh God! But anyway, as if the stream couldn't get any worse. My God! But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna end this now. So I'm gonna say bye.
See you later.
See you later, everybody.
Yeah. See you later. Bye bye. Oh God.